Prime Minister. I watched both 1 and 3. One, yeah, I think 1 does a better job of also going, hey, bigger picture here, whānau. This is not actually this is not the big win for Luxon like he says it is. Also, Luxon, when he says on the One News report, when he says because we're open for business, he's implying that this is his win. Because what he's saying is we will get these things because we're open for business. And I'm pretty sure on Thread they didn't show that quote. So it's definitely worth watching it on 1. Here we go.
And today, hyping investment in New Zealand to create jobs, Prime Minister Christopher Luxon. He hailed a $7.5 billion outlay from tech giant Amazon, one of the world's biggest companies. But the deal, secured under Labor, had been revealed several years ago. Labor accusing Luxon of trying to take credit. The Prime Minister saying he was up front. His senior political reporter, Benedict Collins.
I pushed the space bar there. Not accusing him of taking credit. He did take credit. If he goes, because we're open for business, he's not saying when Labor was in, they're open for business and so are we. He's saying we're different from the last lot. We're open for business. He is taking credit for it. There's no question about that until he got called out.
At this Amazon Expo today, the Prime Minister was trumpeting the tech giant's investment here as immense and historic.
It will create up to 1,000 jobs and it will deliver more than almost $11 billion worth of boost to our GDP.
Permanent?
New Zealand, he told the crowd, has been shuttered for investment for far too long.
Well, I have to tell you, that has truly, well and truly changed under the...
So there, he's taking credit for it, because if it's changed, what he's saying is it was shut for business under the last lot, but now we're open for business. So look, don't get it twisted. He is claiming this. He is saying that this is theirs. He is saying they're responsible for it. He's trying to take the glory. It's exactly what we talked about last night to Kieran, when I said to Kieran, are they going to even build a single house in this term? Because remember, every time houses get built, they're there to cut the ribbon, but those houses were paid for and planned by Labor, just like this.
Too long.
Well, I have to tell you, that has truly, well and truly changed under this government, because we are open for business and we are obsessed on growth, growth, growth above everything.
A curious observation to make, given this historic Amazon investment was announced 4 years ago by Labor.
Christopher Luxon's been trying to claim that his government's opened the door to foreign investment, and his proof point is a multi-billion-dollar investment by Amazon that was announced during Labor's time in government. I think that just shows that Christopher Luxon's rhetoric doesn't keep up with the reality.
Labor even put out this press statement, labelling Christopher Luxon the Fig Jam Prime Minister.
What does Fig Jam stand for?
Christopher Luxon is the Fig Jam Prime Minister. I think people can have a lot of fun Googling that.
So we Googled it. Fig Jam is Australian slang to describe someone who is overly boastful of their abilities. Fig Jam stands for I'm good, just ask me.
Christopher Luxon spends a lot of time talking about himself and running other people down. Actually, he should focus on leading the country forward.
He also really doesn't like to be lectured by Chris Hipkins. How do you think this is going to go down?
I think maybe he should stop blaming other people for his problems and start taking ownership of the very real mess that he's creating for himself.
To be fair, the Prime Minister did kind of acknowledge the deal wasn't really new.
I have to say, the investment today by AWS of 7.5 billion New Zealand dollars. Let me just say that again, $7.5 billion from AWS in New Zealand has been well flagged.
And insists he's not pilfering.
Well flagged is very different from saying, and we'd like to extend congratulations and thanks to the Jacinda Ardern Labor government who started this process. Great work to start it. We will wrap it. You know, you could have actually done it properly and taken some credit. But it's obvious when you're saying, well, they will close the business, but we're open, you're trying to take it all and you get called out. And then when you get called out, this is the next time you could have said, look, be clear, well done to the last government for starting this off. And he still doesn't do it. He still doesn't do it.
Labor's work.
It's been over a number of years, I agree. I'm not disputing that.
And how do we know, Chewie? How do we know when he's struggling? Because he's stuttering.
Stutters.
That's what he does.
It's been over a number of years, I agree. I'm not disputing that. I'm quite relaxed about that. But I'm celebrating the fact that we've got a big international investor here in New Zealand. And that's what we want to see a lot more of.
Whether thanks to this government or the last, Amazon confirmed that its data centres are live as of today. Benedict Collins, One News.
TV3 had an interesting angle as well, Chewie. They were talking about Amazon won't confirm whether they have built the clouds or whether they're using other people's infrastructure. I didn't do that in One News. On the Three News, they were like, are they using? And so straight away, you kind of think about the Kim.coms of the world and the megas and that kind of stuff. Are they bouncing off the back of someone else? And they wouldn't confirm. So I guess technically, right now, we don't know. But yeah, Luxon, the consummate amateur, is what we could call him. Could have actually, he could have been. I was going to say presidential. What's the way you describe it for prime ministerial? He could have had grace and said something about the previous government and still taken credit for the launch. And most people wouldn't have batted an eyelid, but it's because he didn't. It's because he said they were shut for business, but we're open for business. Makes it very clear he was trying to take the credit for it, and he can't. He cut the ribbon. Well done. You cut the ribbon. Congratulations for cutting the ribbon. Thanks to Labor for bringing this money through. Now, on top of all of that, Chewie, I don't know if it's the same for you, but when I hear about Amazon and money, I get a bit nervous. How they treat their staff in America. So there's a part of me which is going, I'm hoping this is not going to blow up in our face, our being New Zealand, because there is an element of distrust there when it comes to the word Amazon put along the side money.
I also don't trust the ability of the government to know how to deal with tech companies that have cut their teeth doing all sorts of shady deals with governments around the world. Like if we're talking about Amazon, they don't like to pay tax. If we're hosting a data center, cool, that's going to be our electricity, and probably so it can be greenwashed because of the percentage of our renewable power generation. But the services that they're selling, they won't have GST on it. They'll be all for overseas.
Yeah.
So it's just I don't think the government understands. Like when they go, it's 1,000 jobs, that has a big brackets afterwards of like, well, to create 1,000 jobs for maybe a year while it's building up. And then after that, you don't need a lot of staff to run a data center. So are we talking 100? It certainly seemed like in the initial comments, Luxon was saying, here's 100, 1,000 jobs, permanent jobs.
1 million, 5 million.
And it's, once again, this is the government making an announcement, and the news media is spread thin as they are, then spend the next 4 to 5 hours tearing it apart. So, yeah, I mean, somebody has just flicked me a newsroom article, and it's really hard to read an article when I'm on here, guys. But this story was posted 12 hours ago, and is really showing that this may be a complete sham.
Hang on. Okay, so pause for me, because I might just play a bit of the 3 News. Are you going to talk about the wetland story?
No, you play your story and I'll read this.
All right, so this is the thing I was just talking about, because there was a site that Amazon owns in New Zealand, and they were going to build a site there, but apparently the drainage wasn't good enough and it wasn't going to work for the building, so they didn't do it. And now they won't answer the question, have you built a site, or are you using other infrastructure already here? Obviously, I haven't pre-queued this up. I'm just having a bit of a guess that we're in the right spot. Let's have a listen.
That it's a significant investment.
But it's unclear exactly what that investment is.
Could you paint a picture of what this will look like in terms of where these facilities will be?
We are not disclosing the exact location of these data centers, obviously for security reasons, but they're in and around Auckland.
I mean, how on earth do they think they're going to keep that a secret? They really think they're going to have workers there that it doesn't get out and get through people and whatever. But anyway, this is the imagery they're showing, Chewie, but this is not the imagery in Auckland. They admit that.
AWS provided these videos to us, but later admitted the footage is of generic data centres, not the ones in New Zealand. It's also unclear if AWS built 3 data centres in Auckland, or if the data is hosted by infrastructure provided by other companies.
The centers are up and running, so they're live today, and we looked at different options and we made our choice.
What choice? He wouldn't say. Nor would he confirm if AWS abandoned plans to build a data centre on this vacant land in West Auckland.
The site that you're talking about is probably something that considered at some point in time.
What we do know is that at one point they did intend to build their own physical data center from the ground up at Westgate in Auckland, but due to problems with drainage, there were delays there. They may still go ahead with that. They still own
they built
the
it on a
land, but at the
wetland.
moment they've gone for what's called co-location, which is a quicker way to get the data center region up and running.
A multi-billion-dollar technology investment in New Zealand launched under a cloud of confusion.
There you go. That'll do that, because that
So-
basically was the exact spot we needed to see.
So if they've abandoned the sites that they were buying, and from my understanding, you're talking about the same area of land as 4 rugby fields that they bought in Auckland, where land is not cheap. They had to drain a wetland, they had to relocate a bird nesting site, and then at the end of that, they've gone, we need it up and running now, we're just going to use someone else's infrastructure. So if that's the case, then where are these 1,000 jobs? Because the assumption is that the 1,000 jobs that they're talking about are building the thing. If they're not building the thing anymore, then there's not 1,000 jobs. If AWS is just buying space in an existing facility, there's no new jobs there.
Someone's external hard drive. They're just using someone's on the back of their computer.
Oh, this is fucked.
Well, we have the announcement. And that's the thing as well. You know what's going to happen? If it goes tits up, like if this turns out being a rip-off or bad for New Zealand, do you think Luxon will still take credit? Or do you think he'll start saying, well, it was the Labour government who actually put this in place. Nothing to do with me. It was them. Because, we were open for business, but they put it in place. Do you reckon that'll turn about as quickly as it could?
Well, look, the other thing I'd say is if my criticism is opening the door to Amazon as the business that it is, look, that criticism goes on Labour as well. Is this the business that we want to be attracting here? Last year, it paid $4.9 million worth of tax on $435 million of New Zealand revenue, while sending nearly $307 million offshore in cloud fees to its sister company.
There was a story about what Amazon asked Jacinda for. Where did I have that? I wonder if I can find it. Oh, yeah, there we go. It's an RNZ story. It's on that screen. I'll just put it on that screen, and then I'll be able to show it to you. Come on, little computer.
That's how the sausage is made, people.
Here it goes. Go from the big screen to the small screen.
Magic.
Oh, and I just freaking pushed the X button. Anyway. I just closed it, so we'll just keep talking. Look, I mean, this is the thing, right? And because Amazon has a pretty terrible reputation in America for how they treat their workers, one would hope that obviously they'll have to adhere to New Zealand laws for how they treat their workers here. Great to have investment in the country, of course, but, I don't think we, the country, should ever sell our soul just for an extra dollar. And $11 billion is a lot of money. We're $250 billion a year, give or take, is our GDP. So what's that, like 5% of our GDP? Obviously, it's not in 1 year, but that's a pretty big chunk of money. I mean, that almost pays for their tax cuts, please. This is one of those watching with concern, watching with mistrust, and we'll see how it pans out.